All right, here we are. Beginning of WTC 2015. Pretty exciting.
That's right. Welcome to WTC 2015. First up, we have round one. Our round one pairing was just posted, so it looks like we are going to be broadcasting the stream for Ireland Craic versus Australia Platypus. We are going to be going shortly to the team selection matchup process. So we'll be going to a table, and we'll overhear the captain going over their matchup. The team captain is going over their matchup strategy. So.
As we wait, we might as well cover the scenario for this round. The scenario for this round is outflank. That's the one with the two large diameter circular zones. There is no kill box. You control for a point one of those zones, and you dominate for 2 points for one of those zones.
Right, and both zones are centrally located so that
right.
Neither player controls one zone. They're both.
Yeah, they're both equally neutral.
They're both neutral zones.
Yeah, neither is a friendly zone. Yeah. So that'll be the scenario for the round.
Do you think this is a strong scenario for scenario play?
I generally don't, because the scenario, there are always exceptions to the rule depending on the caster, but just in terms of the fact that
there's a lot of zone space.
There's a lot of zone space to take up. It's kind of difficult to control or to project force into both of them.
Right.
The lack of kill box makes it easy for casters to play back a little bit, so you're not worried about maybe getting assassinated by plane scenario. I think this is one of the harder scenarios to win a scenario victory.
And then the large volume of space to occupy means that it's generally easy to deny.
Right.
Contesting and controlling your own models.
Yeah, very true.
But this can be a problem for lists that have a low model count or that have a very constricted sort of force that they project. So we might want to look for that if we see any lists that have a small model count,
like a real brick, a small footprint brick list.
Especially brick lists can have a problem.
Slower lists always have different difficulty getting back and forth between two zones, so that'll be something to look for as well.
Yep. Yeah. And then, do we have time to go over some team lists, or are we going to be going to the team selection soon?
Okay.
All right. We have a little bit of time, so let's go over. We've got. I have. Oh, and also this is all available at wmh-wtc.com. We've got a very, very good technical team. They're updating so this is going to be providing results live throughout the day, and they're going to update the results as they come in. So if you just go to that website, you can find great updates all day long, and they've got all of the data for all of the lists and everything and all the players. It's very well done, so I would definitely check that out. wmh-wtc.com.
Yeah. Sounds like they're getting ready to roll the dice as we speak here for team selection.
Yep.
So we're going to go ahead and check that out. So I believe the Aussies here have brought the thunder. Oh, it was Ireland that rolled the 5, so it appears Ireland will get to make first selection. Is that right, Chad?
Yeah, and I think this is something that would have been great to go over. I believe if it's the same as the prior 2 years, generally the team that rolls higher wants the other player to choose first.
Oh, okay.
Whichever team goes second gets to choose the last 2 matchups of the day.
Okay.
Although last year the way that they inverted that a little bit was to allow the team that goes first to also pick tables.
Okay.
And that can sometimes be very advantageous if the tables are very skewed in one way or
we've seen some of the tables are definitely kind of skewed terrain-wise here. It appears that Team Ireland has put down, it looks like by the sheet, a Legion list.
Yep, that's Mike Porter, I believe.
Yeah, so it's Mike Porter's Legion lists. What can you tell us about those, Chad?
So Mike Porter's Legion lists are that Thygrosh 2 versus Veil 2, looks like. Thygrosh 2 and Veil 2, and that's going to be a Veil 2 Machinations of Shadow Tier 4 with 3 Angels, 2 Ravagors, and a Shredder.
Okay. So it looks like the Retribution and the Kador player is who. The question: there are actually two Retribution players on this Aussie team, so I'm trying to figure out exactly which one that is. But one of them is Sheldon Pace. That is the Butcher 3 and Vlad 2, and then
Dylan Simmer.
Dylan, yes, Dylan Simmers, and he is running Ron and Kalissa. Kalissa is a Tier 4 Force Wall list. All of the other lists are standard. So it looks like they've selected
Dylan.
to match up against Dylan.
So they chose the rep player for their Legion.
So there we'll have Kalissa and Ron playing in to remind us what Team Ireland had again.
Yep, Thagrush 2 and Veil 2.
Thagrush 2 and Veil 2. So that leaves out the Kador player with Butcher 3 and Vlad 2. Again, no what's up? Kador player hanging out there.
Yep, so Ireland's going to respond with, let me pull up their teams here real quick. So I would expect Ireland to respond with Dan Porter and Phil Dugan. Let's see what they do.
Dan Porter is playing.
He's going to be playing Sigar, Kane 2 and Haley 2.
Okay.
And Phil is going to be their circle player, Kruger 2 and Morvana 2. Let's
All
see
right.
what they do, though.
Yeah.
Nope, I was dead wrong. So they actually responded with Jason Jensen and Philip Johnston.
So the other two.
Yep, I was dead wrong. Dead wrong.
Fantastic. I'm looking at the list, trying to figure out if there's a reason necessarily that they went that route, the opposite.
Well, that's their two Cricks players.
Well, sure.
Interesting.
And so maybe they're thinking about who they want one of those Cricks players to play into, like following this. I'm not sure. The Butcher 3 list looks like a pretty typical-ish Butcher. There's Cossite Woodsman. That's not particularly typical. But, you know, some solo support and some Black Dragons.
We could probably let their commentary
Can
come through a little bit. Or
yeah. Yeah.
oh, sorry, I was under the impression that the stream could hear the table. So it looks like they did select Jason Jensen to play against their Kador player.
Which leaves Philip
Johnston.
Philip Johnston. And what are Philip Johnston's?
He's the Coven Terminus player.
Oh, this is the Coven Terminus player. Okay. All right. All right. So looking back at what we have left here for the Aussie team, we've got a Kador player, or I'm sorry, a Cricks player with Asphyxius 2 and Denegra 2. A Scorn player with Rasheth and Xerxes, and a Rep player with Assyria and Thyron. So I'm going to guess, yep, it's going to be Aaron Whale with Asphyxius 2 and Denegra 2, and Jeff Gales with Assyria and Thyron. Definitely not going to put their Scorn player into the remaining Cricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've decided to go for a Cricks off, so they're going to pick Aaron Whale.
Yep. All right, so now we have Assyria and Thyron hanging out, waiting for the last two lists.
Yep. And now the Team Ireland, having won the roll, will be able to choose both of the pairings for the last two lists. This is why winning the roll is so important in the matchup selection process.
Sure. All right, so it'll be Retribution versus Circle, and then Scorn versus Signar, which is... Who is the Signar player? What is he bringing?
Dan Porter's?
Yeah.
He's going to be Kane 2 and Haley 2.
Kane 2 and Haley 2, and a Rasheth and Xerxes. This will be actually really interesting to see because I think typically he would play Haley 2 into Scorn matchups, but obviously with the errata, this will be our first chance to like really see if that
Really,
affects things. I
yep,
think
definitely, definitely.
So that's kind of exciting.
No, yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to. Well, I have to guess. I guess double check on this. But I know that last year, the way that they, like I said, the way that they kind of offset the fact that one of the teams gets to pick two of the matchups is that they were able to pick tables. The other team was able to pick which table the games were played on. I'm not sure if they're still going with that route this year because I think that it was very powerful.
Yeah, I could see it being exceptionally powerful.
So.
All right. So, well, now that we know some of these matchups, do we kind of want to speculate maybe, take a look at the lists and speculate how we think they're going to go, or you want to save that for?
Sure, we could probably. I think it'll be interesting at least to see which of the lists are chosen in the matchup pairs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, do you want to talk about this Scorn Sigar matchup first, since we were just talking about the opportunity to see if he drops Haley 2 here?
Yeah, let's go for it. So who do we got here?
All right. So we have David Potts with the Aussies.
And Dan Porter with Ireland Craic.
Okay. And David Potts has a Resheth list that apparently is not Chain Gang. He is running 3 Sentinels in that list, errata Sentinels. So very shooty list. Cyclops Raider, who is the Raider, the one that has
that's
the
Far
Strike, right?
Yep. Which is going to make sense with your...
Yeah. He also has Croak Raiders in the list. So very, very shooty list with Resheth, which is interesting. We haven't seen that, but this is
right. Yeah, this
kind
is
of a change that the bugs are bringing to Scorn now.
This is a massively anti-Hordes list, actually, due to his all of his armor debuffs. His feat, rather, is an armor debuff, but it's only affecting living models. So it's not going to do much against Dan's Colossals if he has any in both of... I assume his Haley list has... Sorry, I should have pulled this up here.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so his Haley... Actually, he doesn't have any Colossals in his list, it looks like. So he's going to have a Haley list with a Stormclad, Storm Lances, Storm Blades, Nis Hunters, and then a Kane list with just a Hunter. And then Arcane Tempest Gun Mages, Boom Howlers, Forge Guard, kind of a typical Kane.
Yeah. The other list for David Potts is Xerxes, Tier 2, Fist. So he has an Archidon there for some sprint. And then Tyrant Commander and Standard Bearer. And looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 men units of Incendiary and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 men units of Arcuari. No Satrati, no Mullet Karn. So
in either of lists?
Correct. No Mullet Karn in either list, which has got to be one of the first times in a tournament setting that a Scorn player has done that. But interesting lists. The Resheth list in and of itself is, I think, a new breed of list that we actually probably will see going forward.
I wonder if the Resheth list is enough to scare away Dan from playing his Kane list, just for the fact that the Eridus Sentinels have that poison AoE.
If just drifting on
even
on
drifting
him is
on
bad
him,
news.
it can actually just kill him.
Yeah.
If they get 2 drifts onto
Kane, yeah.
Almost regardless of camp.
Yeah. Does Resheth? I can't remember off the top of my head. Does Resheth have a nuke that or is it only?
He has breath. He has Breath of Corruption.
Breath of Corruption, yeah, which he can also
which he can also drift onto Kane.
Yeah, so those are potentially bad situations for Kane. Yeah. I'm not sure that it's a ton, but I guess D-Cell makes things better for Haley too.
Yeah, she also has slightly higher armor, higher armor.
Yeah, sure.
And then the perhaps something that might tip it in Kane's favor a little bit is that he doesn't have anything. He doesn't have anything as much. It's not as much of a loss for him to put Arcane Shield on himself because he doesn't have a heavy. Although I'm generally thinking he's going to want to put Arcane Shield on his Forge Guard or his Boom Howlers.
Yeah.
To try and keep them up. So.
Yeah, particularly with the Croak Raider gunline shooting into those models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely going to help too against the fire as well.
Right.
So.
Yep.
So that's interesting. I would actually. I would still expect Haley to be dropped here. But
do we think David Potts is going to drop this Resheth list versus Xerxes?
I guess the other thing to consider too is that if Resheth is dropped against Kane, while Kane could die, Xerxes or Resheth is also eminently in danger.
That's very true.
From Kane.
The Xerxes list is interesting into Kane as well, just because of the high number of incendiary. Obviously, the ability to just light Kane on fire, drift and light Kane on fire is not not exciting for Kane.
All right. So how about we move on to?
Yeah.
The next?
No, I think we should. Yeah. All right. So we know we've got we've got a Cricks off. We've got Aaron Whaley versus. I'm trying to remember who the second Cricks player was. It was Jason Jensen. Yep. All right. So we should have Aaron Whaley versus Jason Jensen in the Cricks off. Whaley has Asphyxious 2. It's a pretty typical.
Pretty bog standard.
Yeah, pretty bog standard. He has the Wither Shadow Combine, which sometimes makes it, sometimes doesn't. But otherwise, it comes prepackaged for the most part.
That's right.
And then he's got Denny 2, Body and Soul Tier 4. Obviously, again, these lists were submitted before the errata. So once again, the pretty standard Denny 2 Body and Soul Tier 4 list. So Aaron coming pre-packed with what were probably previously considered the 2 default best lists in Craics.
Right. And I think that generally Denny 2 is considered to be a better anti-Cricks.
Anti-Cricks. Yep. Very true.
But I mean, I know from seeing Keith do it in our local meta that Asphyxious 2 is also.
Can also play the game.
Very good in that situation. So looking at Jason Jensen's list, he has a Denegra 1 list, which looks like a shooting variant. So that's going to be a list that can come out and kill you. That can also do a pretty good amount of attrition damage against a typical Cricks army. So his list is he's going to have double Night Wretch, minimum Mechanothralls to just. Two minimum units of Mechanothralls, so he's just going to be building those units up throughout the course of the game as he collects corpses from his own living models, which are a minimum unit of Blood Witches, I assume for the 6-point best solo in the game, the Blood Hag.
Right. Yeah.
And then
now that Gorman's nerfed for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. and then Nis Hunters, Boom Howlers, and the Devil's Shadow Mutineers, which have been tested thoroughly with Denegra at this point. And it's been
quite good. I could see them being quite good. Yeah.
So this is a list that can both attrition with its guns, but it's a list that can also come out and just kill you by Denegra. Going for a pop and drop feat Scourge, -5 your armor, and then shoot you.
It is worth noting that list does contain a large number of living models, which makes it
make it a disadvantage against
Asphyxious 2. So I'm wondering if he might just default lean on this Gorshade 3 list.
Yeah, I mean the Gorshade 3 list can also potentially threaten either of those casters pretty thoroughly. Yeah. Just by his feat Assassination as well. So his Gorshade 3 list, let's look at that here. So he's going to look at, his battle group is going to be Death Ripper Night Wretch. He's going to have a Scarlock, Thrall, Statixis, Maximum Statixis Raiders with UA, Wither Shadow Combine, Blackbane's Ghost Raiders, which is a great addition to
an anti-Cricks,
Yep. And then minimum unit of Bile Thralls, maximum unit of Bane Knights, 2 Sirens, Rengrave, and Orin Midwinter, and a unit of a pack of Scrap Thralls.
It is interesting to note that he does have Statixis Raiders in the Gorshade 3 list, so again, not completely avoiding the Excarnate danger.
Correct.
Even if he chooses the Gorshade 3 list.
Not quite as bad, though. I mean, a lot of the time, Statixis Raiders are used more of a speed bump, which you can still, the speed bump gets kind of run over a little bit with Excarnate Purge, but it still holds him back a little bit.
No, for sure.
And then, also, Orin Midwinter, I think, is a very interesting, which I did not know that Cricks could take Orin Midwinter.
Yep. Yeah.
So that can also be a potent anti-Cricks threat in combination with the Blackbane's Ghost Raiders and then his feat. So I'm actually kind of leaning towards him taking this list, although
the Gorshade 3 list. I think it's going to be Gorshade 3, and I'm going to guess. I think typically Willie might have taken Denegra Body and soul tier into this matchup, but I'm wondering with the errata if he's going to feel as confident. I sort of expect to see Gorshade 3s versus Asphyxius 2 in this matchup.
Yeah, that's what I would expect as well. But let's see. I mean, I was definitely wrong earlier. Up next, we had who did their circle player?
Well, their circle player ended up going against Jeff Galea with Assyria and Tyrone.
Yep. So Phil Dugan, the Ireland Craic circle player, is going to be playing Kruger 2 and Morvana 2. Certainly a powerful list pairing, if ever there was one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kruger 2's list is this is an excellent list. Warpwolf Stalker, Getterix, Gorax, Sacral Vault, 2 units of Croak Raiders, Gobber's Shifting Stones.
Ugh.
That's minion heavy circle if I've ever saw it.
Yeah. But Kruger 2 is the one that makes that work the best.
Kruger 2 with guns to back him up is especially terrifying.
Yeah, he's a scary model.
And the Sacral Vaults and the Croak Raiders are, potent guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like that list quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, what was the other player playing?
Jeff Galea is playing
Retribution. So guns not especially effective against Retribution due to their they have a decent amount of defense versus it. But
particularly the fact that he has Assyria. It makes guns right hurts. Or am I getting that confused? Is Distraction the only one that penalizes Rad? Or Blinding Light does not allow them to shoot, right?
correct.
Yeah. So the existence of Blinding Light on the Croak Raiders, that's definitely cause for concern. Are there druids in that Kruger 2
There
list?
are not.
So, okay. So
Although the Sacral Vault can potentially
can null
cancel
magic.
a spell,
Yeah.
but it's only, that's a very restricted area.
It is, yeah.
So anyway, I'll move on. I'll move on to the Morvana list right now, and then we're going to actually switch into a table live right now. I think they're currently in the deployment phase, or maybe even moving on to round 1.
Yeah.
But so this Morvana 2 list is double. Oh,
go ahead and finish with the Morvana 2 list.
Oh, okay, sure. So yep, we got double Warpwolf Stalker, Gorax, Blood Trackers Maximum with Nula, Max Wolf Riders, which is interesting, Max Tharn Ravagers, which is interesting, and then Gallows Groves. Which I think that's a very interesting Morvana 2 list in general. You don't usually see the Tharn Ravagers for her heavy infantry choice.
Yeah.
The typical wisdom is going for the Skinwalkers.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a terrible play.
I have played against that version of the Morvana 2 list before, actually, two TempleCons ago.
Ravagers,
with Ravagers
are much more offensive.
Yes, very much so.
So I don't, and then she's got a feat that can recurse them. So
yeah. Okay, so we are looking here at a matchup between Sheldon Pace, who is running Vlad 2, and his counterpart is the other Cricks player.
Yep, Philip Johnston.
And it looks like, is he playing Terminus or Witch Coven? Oh, we got them backwards then.
Oh no!
Oh, when we were discussing, we got the Cricks players backwards. My apologies. So he is actually playing Jason Jensen, the Gorshade 3 Denegra player who we thought was playing into Aaron Whaley. So that is my bad. So we're looking at Denegra 1 into Vlad 2. And Vlad 2 is generally considered one of the better anti-Cricks options, I guess, for Kadar. Would you agree with that, Chad?
Well, he's got the Outriders, which is a excellent anti-Cricks choice right there. Ulans, I'm not so sure of what they're going to do as much. So he's kind of got the good and the bad.
Absolutely. Although feeded on Ulans could impact attack through several models.
That's true, and they are fairly difficult to kill.
Yeah.
Even for Cricks.
Yeah.
It's the combination of Def 16 and then also high armor. So, the only things that can usually hurt them are like Bane Thralls and Mechanothralls, and then they're going to have problems actually hitting them.
Right.
So.
Right. So table set up here looks like just a couple forests, trenches, and a hill. I don't know that I see anything terrain-wise that's standing out to me as going to have a strong impact on the game.
Yeah, I mean, those Nist Hunters are definitely going to like that forest. on the bottom there.
Very true. Very true.
And then, yeah, this is a list where Vlad could just die. But he's got a nice forest to hide behind, too, I guess.
Yeah.
He's positioned
Yeah.
well for that. So this is going to be a scenario where the lack of a kill box is going to probably play to Vlad's advantage, I would say.
Yeah. All right, we're going to look in on the Legion Ret matchup. This was, I believe, the very first pairing that we watched them put together. This is Legion versus Ret. The Retribution player, Dylan Simmer, has picked Kalissa Force Wall Tier 4. And
It looks like Machinations of Shadow on the other side.
Yeah. So, just to give a quick rundown of the Kalissa list. There's a Phoenix, 2 Manticores, 2 Aspis, 3 Griffins, a unit of Battle Mages, a very large number of Arcanists, and then an Artificer and a Magister. And that is the list. So this is definitely... I have actually not seen this Tier Force played before. Have you witnessed the...
No, I actually have never eyewitnessed it as well. But certainly the most powerful aspect of this theme force is the benefit that prevents your opponent from being able to run or charge on turn 1.
Right.
So the Legion player gets around that a little bit by having an additional speed on most of the heavies that he's
the
his
flight-based
winged
heavies. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So he's going to still be, a decent distance up the table, I would say.
But not as far as he's used to being.
Right. But then again, he might not also want to run as far against that many
Right.
guns.
Yeah.
And then also her feat is going to be largely useless, I would say, against Veil 2.
It grants stealth.
Stealth, and
yeah.
you can't charge, but Veil
Yeah.
2's
Yeah.
not
Yeah. It doesn't care.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good point. The other option for him to select would have been Ron. Looks like relatively typical double battle mage, some strike force, couple assassins, Ion and Holt kind of Ron list, Banshee and Chimera. Do you think that he got the matchup that he wanted here, or do you think he may have ended up in a situation of list chicken?
The Ret player?
Yeah.
Can you pull up?
I can pull up what the other Legion list was, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. The other list was Thagrosh 2, with 2 Rakes, a Seraph, 2 Scythians, a Shredder, max unit of Legionnaires with Feralor, Spawning Vessel, couple support models.
I'm not sure. I would have assumed Ron versus Thagrosh is the better matchup, but he had to assume that Veil was going to be dropped.
And do you not think that Ron into Veil is a good matchup?
I don't know. She has Occultation, which is certainly strong against Ron.
Yes.
I mean, at least being able to prevent herself from being drug in and killed, although his heavies aren't going to be very protected from that.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe he felt that he just didn't... maybe he felt that he didn't have the firepower in the Ron list to be able to chew through that number of heavies that Veil brings, and then in addition to her being able to protect herself for the most part, from that assassination.
Yeah.
That he felt that. So my assumption is just that the Ret player probably was expecting Veil to, and therefore got the matchup that he felt was best against it.
Sure.
But
Sure.
you never know in these kinds of matchups. Sometimes people take known popular lists, and they just vastly prefer their homebrew concoctions.
Right. Right.
So, and they take their popular list to throw people off on the guessing game, so to speak, for the matchups.
Right.
So that can happen. We're going to take a quick look at Table 3 right now, which is going to be Thyron versus Kruger 2.
So this is exciting to see some Thyron action.
Yep. Tyrone.
Yeah.
So game in progress here.
All right.
Looks like he's just doing some first turn positioning. Can you go over that?
I can. Tyrone's list. He's got a Banshee and a Griffin, He's got a max unit of Dawn Guard Sentinels with the UA and a Solus Escort. He's got a max unit of Strike Force with Commander and an Escort.
Which you're going to see up front there that
He's unpacking right now. Yep.
He's unpacking the Dawn Guard right now.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. He's got Scareth. Is that the Pain Knight, Scareth?
Yep.
Okay. And then an Artificer, 2 Assassin Solos, a Magister, 2 Arcanists, and Lanissa Rissel. Interesting not to see. I always thought that Mage Hunter Infiltrators, looking at Tyrone and his feat, would be near auto includes for me. It's interesting not to see them. I'm no red player, though.
I'm very curious about why there is no. What's the new Warjack, that their new character?
Oh, yeah.
I'm drawing a blank right now. I didn't have any coffee this morning.
I am as well. Why can't I think of his name? Maybe the chat can help us.
Commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that new character Warjack is incredible with
Imperatus.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Imperatus.
chat. Imperatus, yeah.
that new
yeah.
Imperatus is incredible with
with
Tyrone.
Tyrone, and he's not in his other list either. So.
Yeah.
No Imperatus, no Molech card. Maybe these guys just had a gentleman's agreement that we're
it's-
unaware of.
Well, it's Europe. They have a very different meta experience than we
Gentleman's
do,
agreement.
Right. Also that. So yeah, we have to be cognizant of that all day as well. We actually are going to see a lot of list choices that are very common here that are not very common in the States. Like for instance, we were going over the Haley 2 list with Stormlances earlier. Like Stormlances are very popular in Europe, and they are not quite as popular in the States. So we're going to take a quick look at the last 2 tables, and then we're going to probably pick a game and watch it for a little while.
All right, so here we are with Aaron Whaley, who did pick Gaspy 2 and into his anti-Cricks match, and he's facing off against the Coven player, whose name I will tell you in just one moment. Which Coven player is Philip Johnston? So we've got Aaron Whaley and Philip Johnston, Gaspy 2, pretty standard Gaspy 2 list. As we discussed.
I'm surprised to see the Coven here, given the information that we were given the other night, which was that we were sort of chatting with the Irish team as we got in, and they mentioned that this Coven list is tailor-made to shut down Colossals.
Right, and
prior to the errata
Yeah,
coming out.
Yeah,
given that it's got.
Or maybe that must be a different list, because this is not the sort of list that they were describing.
Oh, that's too bad.
I think that the list that they were talking about was the team that was all Cricks. It was one of like the
you're right.
all sweet.
But
all
it was
Cricks
the
sweet
same. It was the same caster pairing, which is why I thought
right.
that.
Yeah. No,
okay.
I was exactly on the same page.
I'm
as
sorry.
You.
So this is more of a standard.
More of a standard kind of Coven list. Looks like Witch Coven, Scarlock Thrall, Death Ripper, and Night Wretch. Max Bane Riders, Max Soul Hunters, Max Tixis Raiders. So very fast list.
But we can see there too. You see how Aaron positioned his Scarlock commander almost maximum distance forward, and then try to protect him with those clouds.
Yeah.
That Asphyxious can put into play. So I mean that's very clearly. I mean that's a very clearly telegraphed X-Carnate play.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I mean it's one of those things that like Asphyxious players don't have to be. They don't have to be coy about their
right. Everyone knows that
plan,
that's a plan coming in, and I think he's placed it aggressively because of how quickly.
This is something that I noticed about Whaley quite a bit watching him play. Is that he's very very good about just like making that aggressive play forward, just not even like just telegraphing straight ahead what he's going to do, but doing it in such a way that he is still protected.
Right.
And he's doing it aggressively, but also safely.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't know. There might be some way that I don't know the distances off the top of my head. I doubt that an Arc node with Infernal Machine can run and get into those clouds to try and ace that
The Scarlock
that
Commander.
Scarlet
yeah.
Commander. But if the ranges are good, that might be something that he
He might try.
might try.
Yeah.
So we're gonna quickly pop over to the last table, which is going to be Xerxes versus Haley 2.
Dan Porter with Haley 2. This is I think the first matchup that we talked about.
Yep.
So Dan Porter with Haley 2 and David Potts with Xerxes.
I think it's funny. My assumption is that both of their easier to kill casters got scared of each other.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's
And
probably
then
how that played
split
out.
ways.
Yeah. It is somewhat interesting because from David Potts' perspective, with the exception of being afraid that Resheth would potentially get killed, I sort of felt like the Resheth list is the one that you would want to play into either of these two Signar matchups.
It's like I said, his primary defense against dying being that impervious flesh.
Yeah.
That might, but with Haley and Kane, like they both have a volume of fire that it's probably not quite as good of a protection
Fair enough.
against him.
Yeah.
Or against them.
Yeah.
So, and then his just defense is so bad that, and his armor rather are
Yeah.
so like low that it's going to be. I mean, either of those lists are going to be able to come and get him.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Signar doesn't have a problem shooting
Yeah.
something. So,
So basically, you're saying you want to stick with Resheth only when force projection is not quite as good as Signar typically is.
the other thing is this a fist list?
This is a fist list.
Yeah. So the other thing is just given the scenario, he's going to be able to push, with his medium-based units into both zones.
Yeah.
Very hard to kill. Very hard to gain ground on those units.
Yeah.
So he's going to, be able to stall out scenario much more effectively.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, this is the sort of slightly unusual fist. It's only tier 2. No Moloch Karn, only an Archidon. And no Satrati, which we
Yeah.
frequently see Satrati with the Defender's Ward
Very
as the
unusual.
middle of the brick.
So does he
It's-
just have a lot of
It's 5 Arcuari and 4 Incendiary.
That's a lot of ranged attacks, which is not going to be as good against Haley too.
Right.
So interesting there. So now that we've at least sort of popped into this game, we're going to, I think, go over and settle on the. Sorry, what was that?
We're going to watch the Cricks on Cricks. We're going to look at Whaley with Asphyxius 2 versus the Witch Coven, played by, and I apologize, I have to keep switching back and forth here.
Philip Johnston.
Philip Johnston, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So who do you think is advantage in this matchup?
Well, my gut reaction always tends to say that Asphyxius
Asphyxius?
2
Yeah.
is advantaged.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you there.
The fact that he has some X-Carnate, like legitimate X-Carnate play thanks to the Statixis Raiders here certainly helps. I think
Also, he's going with you notice the Coven list has got 2 units of cavalry,
yeah,
which are not the best against Cricks.
No, very
in
true.
terms of they are high point cost models that don't do.
enough work to justify.
Yeah. And then they're very easily removed by, especially the Bane Riders. One Bane Rider can pretty much be killed by any Bane
right,
with just a charge attack.
right, yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it feels like the Coven players should be pretty disadvantaged.
now
in this
that's
matchup.
just going on the army versus the army, I guess. What the casters, how the casters modify that might be a bit different too, given that. I don't know. It depends on, I guess, on Aaron's positioning. If he can get if Philip can get a couple of good charges off with his cavalry, and then maybe back up a bit with the Soul Hunters as they do their light cavalry move, and then maybe kill everything within a good radius, or pick off sort of the front line with his Bane Riders, and then protect them with the Witch Coven's feet. Maybe try and get 2 turns of work out of his cavalry. That might be able to pump them up to the level where they can do the amount of work that they need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if he can force Asphyxius into a situation where he's popping his feet to clear one of the cavalry units, then I think that that's probably advantaged, or that's going to be what he's going to be trying to look for. What he's going to be scared to death about all game long is Asphyxius popping his feet to get on the egregore.
Right. Yeah.
Which is going to be a nightmare. So that, I mean, the caster assassination is very, very on the table, I would say, for Asphyxius.
I would agree with that.
I missed what's going on right now.
He's run the arc node up. You can see at the edge of the zone. It appears that I don't know if he was going for a Stygian Abyss assassination or something here. Actually, this early.
Oh, he is going for a Stygian Abyss. He just. Yep. All right, so he definitely did go for an Stygian Abyss assassination there. He came up a bit short. I don't know how much damage. Is there any way we can get information on how much damage Asphyxius took? So we got someone running over there to find out. But yeah, he went for that Infernal Machine arc node run in just a massively long distance up there to get 2 Stygian Abysses.
Yeah, it looks like he was camping maybe one-ish.
Yep, because he cast 2 clouds and then probably didn't cast Hellbound, or 3 clouds rather, or no, 2.
2.
We're checking damage on Asphyxius 2. Yep, and then that's a Gorman cloud, I believe, next to.
I believe
Gatsby,
you are correct. Just double checking to make sure that he actually does have Gorman in the list, but I'm fairly certain he does. Yep. Yes, he does. Yeah, so it's definitely a Gorman. So Asphyxius has 9 boxes remaining. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Because it's going to be very difficult to protect from the other Infernal Machine arc node.
Right.
So Asphyxius is going to have to be very cautious with his camp for the rest of the game, I would say. And when you're not casting clouds, you're not casting Excarnate, you're not teleporting.
Right.
Then that's going to be tough for him to get the level of work that he might need.
Yeah.
So that was definitely an interesting. Getting that early damage on, because even what Asphyxius has 16, so even 7 damage.
Yeah.
Is it 16 or 17?
I think he may be 17. I'm pretty sure he's 17 actually.
So I mean, roughly half damage we can say with relative certainty.
Yeah.
Roughly half damage on him early on with very little reprisal. He's gonna obviously lose his arc node that he sent forward, but he's got a backup one.
Right.
And then that's gonna possibly push Asphyxius out of the game, which is going to be a huge advantage for the Coven player moving forward.
The Coven player actually also happens to have Orin Midwinter in this list, who appears has moved up, and I'm guessing null magic where he's at. He might have stealthed, but I'm assuming null magic. Also, kind of an interesting piece in this matchup.
Oh, definitely. I mean, so that's going to make it. That's going to make the Excarnate plays even harder. So Asphyxius is not going to be able to. If he walks up and tries to get one, and he walks within that null magic range, he is stuck.
He's done.
And it's, no bueno.
Yeah.
This is turning out a little bit different from the way I thought it might.
Well, quite frequently, games where one of the players is able to put some damage on the caster can really change what seemed to be a quite favorable matchup into a much dicier game, much more interesting game. All right, so we got a Helldiver unburrowing here.
Trying to decide what I think he's going to do this game or this turn.
I
think where do we have? We see Tartarus in the middle on top of that hill.
Yeah.
It looks like he can probably walk forward and curse the Satixis with staying a decent distance away, for safety.
Yeah.
And then he can probably go ahead and clear off that front line with his Banes charging in. I think we might see that happening.
You think we'll see that as opposed to Excarnate because of the damage?
Yeah, I mean he might not have excarnated anyway, just because the presentation is. I mean the positioning is just sort of allowing it regardless.
Sure, sure. It'll be interesting to see. Do you think that he has any ability to get to that back arc node, or do you think that's just simply out of Asphyxius's ability? That one back by the wall back here.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything he can. I don't think that there's anything that he can do to get all the way back there, regardless, or besides simply maybe running his own arc node forward and slinging spells at it. Which, if he thinks that he has a good chance of knocking the arc node out, that might not be a terrible play.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the odds are very good.
Right.
Excarnate is a 3-coster.
Yeah.
So he's only going to be able to sling 2 of those.
Yeah. Power 14, pretty good against
Yeah.
armor 14, but
Needing 8s to hit as well.
Yeah.
Which is going to be tough.
yeah. He does have Wither Shadow Combine on this list. Is that what we?
Yeah, I can see him on the
Yep,
table.
he does. So yeah. So he does have access to puppet strings.
Yeah, interesting. It looks like he didn't move his bottom unit of Bane Riders too.
Yeah. That is interesting. I definitely don't think that was. I think it was intentional
You think that that was intentional?
that he didn't move it. I can't imagine him forgetting to move them.
It's the beginning rounds of a big day. Maybe you didn't get a lot of sleep last night because you were out drinking.
Yeah, that's possible.
It is Ireland.
It is Ireland.
And this is the Irish.
It is the Team Irish.
So
Team Craic, in fact, which is, the fun. So,
I don't know. I could see it. I could see it going either way there.
yeah, fair enough.
Not to take anything away from
Yeah.
the Irish.
So it appears that he's attempting to cast a spell with the Scarlock Commander, but I don't think he should be able to here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, you were right.
Yeah.
Yep. So he tried to Hellfire the
The
Soul Hunters.
or Gorman, maybe? Is that Gorman sitting right there?
Yeah, it does look
I
like
believe
Gorman.
maybe it was Gorman that he targeted. I'm not sure what killed the Scarlock Commander.
He's purging, I believe.
Oh, okay, okay. That makes sense then.
So that's going to be a good way to kill the Arc Node. Automatic.
Yeah.
Damage
Yeah,
rolls.
yeah, absolutely. Just a bunch of POW 12s on it.
Yep. And then probably kill that front Soul Hunter as well.
Yeah. Did cost him his Scarlock Commander and a
Yeah.
couple biles.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, so did not actually, it appears, remove the Arc Node, so he's going to have to finish it off. Most likely with those Bane Knights over there.
Yeah. It's interesting because you have to charge, just because you need 9s to hit with the Bane Knights, you have to charge it with such a massively disproportionate amount.
Unless he happened to remove the movement with those Bile Thrall purges.
Right, that's very possible.
Yeah.
It's very possible. But even so, I think you would probably have to charge 4 or 5 in, which might compromise their positioning.
Yeah, for
a
sure.
little bit.
Definitely makes them more vulnerable to the Cav and gives the Cav an ability to
Right.
kill enough to make back their points, which is what we were discussing as a disparity at the beginning of the game.
Right.
So it looks like he's just trying to spread out here in the zone.
Yep. Charged it with 2 so far.
Yeah.
So you might be right. He might have knocked the movement out
Movement
there.
out, yeah. That's what I'm guessing. I think
And
he would
then-
commit more if it was.
And then positioning the rest behind the forest so they can vengeance forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, the movement was not knocked out.
But still managed to hit, so That a boy, Whaley.
That's the way to do it. And it's toast. Yeah, one was all it took.
Yeah.
One and done.
Yeah.
Providing a little bit of... I mean, it's interesting, too. I'm wondering if maybe the cover is enough to... I don't think so, personally, but then maybe the cover is enough for Astrixius to get a little bit... a little bit feisty.
Get in that zone,
Yeah.
stand on the cover.
Yeah,
And,
I don't think so.
yeah.
But he would be def 19, meaning the coven needs 10s to hit. And they have so many chances. Yeah, I just don't think that's...
Yeah.
He's going to be
I think he's going to go to the forest there behind that cloud he just
Yeah.
set up.
maximum distance away from the remaining arc node.
Yeah.
And then still
And then-
able to walk into the zone
Right.
and
Yep.
dominate and get a little bit of counterplay going
Yeah.
on.
I think that's where he's headed with.
And then something else to notice too is Aaron's very meticulous about his Helldiver play, and you can see the token has just creeped its way halfway across the table.
Yeah,
by
absolutely.
Now. So
Absolutely.
as every turn, it's going to be essentially like a death clock on the.
On the Egregore.
Yep.
Yeah. Because the Egregore is what, defense 11, something like that?
It's def 13.
Okay.
It can't be knocked down,
which is
relevant.
relevant. Yeah.
But like it can definitely be parasited.
Yeah.
So
That's a bad time.
yeah, it's a bad time.
Do you think that that's the eye that Whaley is playing here in this game? Is he looking to just eventually get to a spot to kill the caster?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on kind of how the game rolls out.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
If the Soul Hunters come in and trigger some vengeance and then leave themselves able to be retaliated on, then he can find himself up. I mean, that's the problem with the Cav again. Is they're going to need to do 2 turns. They're going to need to do that 2 turns of work essentially before
Yeah, absolutely.
he can really feel comfortable, comfortably ahead.
So if it was a mistake,
And you called it exactly. He's going to run in Astrixius behind the forest.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, he's definitely scared.
yeah, absolutely. Well, now that Arc Node, I don't think can reasonably get a Stygian Abyss off on him at this point, even with Infernal Machine. They run a long way.
18 inches is a long,
It is a long way.
it's a long ways.
All right, just as you predicted, Bane Thrall's charging into Styxis here. He hasn't cursed yet though, so
He might have cursed the Arc Node. Did he not activate?
I haven't seen. Tartarus looks like he's in exactly the same spot he was before. I did not see him activate it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he didn't, but I didn't see it.
He might be playing, making a play to protect Tartarus as much as possible too, just given that he's so vital to any kind of assassination that
Sure.
might happen.
Sure.
And 8s isn't the worst thing.
Not the
Bane's
worst.
on
Yeah.
Styxis, so
Yeah.
they're going to need 8s to hit here. And any Styxis that he kills are certainly not going to be, it's not going to be a massive game changer if he hits or misses all of these attacks.
Very
so.
true. Very true. Hitting all the attacks might be.
It'd be nice. It'd certainly be nice for him. But. Yeah, we'll have to see, I guess, whether or not he moves Tartarus after this. If he doesn't, I would have assumed he cursed the Arc Node. We
Yeah.
kind of missed the audio on that one,
Yeah.
so sorry about that.
Oh.
Oh, he just ran with the Banes. Yeah, I thought that might have been more than 8. Yep, so the Banes just ran to engage.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I thought that was those were long charges.
Yeah. Sounds like Tartarus did most likely curse the Arc Node.
Well, we'll see again whether or not he activates it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that would make sense again for him committing only the 2 to bring down the Arc Node. All right. Coven player planning out his turn. If he did forget to, legitimately forget to activate those Bane Cav, as opposed to just deciding that they were going to stay where they started the game.
He might be regretting that now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Because I think,
That allowed him to push deeply into that zone
yeah,
on the bottom there.
yeah. Well, certainly, it seems like it's probably his feet turn.
Yeah, I would expect the Coven player to feat this turn as well. But he doesn't have to activate them first, so
True.
you know,
True.
it's a defensive feat, so he can see
Right.
how the turn played out and then
Yeah.
whether or not he wants to.
Very true.
So while this game is sort of in the thinking phase right now, I think we're going to switch over to table 5 real quick and check out. We have a development in the field. There's a possible assassination.
All right, so this,
So it looks like Harlan Versh went a little bit ham on Xerxes
Yep.
and shot him up and left him with 1 transfer.
so David Potts, the Xerxes player, sitting here on 1 transfer, and
And you can see Harlan Versh in the middle, in a direct dead center middle of the table right there below that rec marker.
and Dan Porter, Haley 2 player here, going for the assassination.
Just try and decipher a little bit of what's going on with the models here.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to tell on the stream, but I believe Xerxes is in the middle of this clump here, in between the 2 zones.
Yeah. All right, well, we can see Harlan Versh, so it's got to be within, 10
10
inches of Harlan Versh there.
Yeah, I want to say he's in the back behind that front 3, that front 2 line.
Yeah. There appears to be a whitish model. It might be him, but he's in that clump for sure.
So he might be looking for some. All right, so Storm Lances are assaulting. This looks like just a sort of an attrition play.
Yeah, I assume this is this is not going to be involved in the assassination, so let's go ahead and activate the rest of this stuff, and then we'll see how the assassination goes. Okay. And Storm Lances are able to move through their own models with there's a solo that allows them to
Catherine
do that.
Lattimore.
Right, okay. The Irish player is discussing the fact that he's nervous here in the first round, hand shaking.
Well, he's got his battle shorts on.
He does have his battle shorts on, which is important.
I'm sorry, actually, Catherine Lattimore, I think, only lets Stormblades move through each other. It's the Stormblade captain.
Captain, yeah, I thought it was a non-mounted model. That did it.
Right.
Yeah.
That lets
Storm now
Yeah.
move
We
through
might have
each
to
other.
double check that.
All right, I'll go to the tape.
Go to the tape. Yeah, with the Stormlances making an assault play here, I'm curious if there is an assassination on the table left. I guess maybe that was just free damage on Xerxes, free damage to his war beasts, forcing him to transfer off of his stack.
Could very well be.
I'm not sure what else he's got to.
It's actually interesting. I wonder if Xerxes was sitting with Defender's Ward on him so that Harlan Versh got Purgation, and that's why he took the shot.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a little hard to tell. I think maybe that's a trench. That's all the models are sitting there that Xerxes is sitting on the back of.
Absolutely.
But Xerxes does not appear to be entirely within the trench, so no cover.
It's hard to tell. He could be. But yeah, I don't think that there's the volume of attacks left
Remaining to
to
take him down.
right. So let's see how the remainder of this turn plays out, and then we might pop back in to see how the Cricks versus Cricks matchup is going. But I am curious to see how these Stormlances do. Stormlance is such a
European unit.
It's such a European unit, but I mean, I've always said that they were good.
Mm-hmm.
I love Stormlances, but yeah, they do not get as much play in the States as they do.
Not at all. Yeah, so the Stormblade Captain has Tactician Storm Knight, so while in his command range, friendly Storm Knight models ignore other friendly Storm Knight models when
Right.
determining line of sight,
Yep.
and can advance through them.
Which both Stormlances and Stormblades.
Are Storm Knights, yep. So it is the Stormblade Captain that allows them to allow those knights to charge through his own models there.
Yep. Yeah, the Stormblades charging and assault's doing good work, but then their Electroleap's not quite so much against the armor.
Against the armor and boxes.
Yeah. But every little bit. And then another thing to note too, I think that forest in that zone in the bottom with those Nis Hunters is going to be an incredible advantage.
Yeah, very true. Very true. All right, so it looks like he's probably trying to bring these guys up here, maybe kill a few of these Arcuari here.
Yeah, I think he's going to focus on the ones on the bottom there,
Yeah.
just so he can try and
push this zone towards his favor.
Yep. So yep. He's going to do a couple of 3-mans, try and pare that min unit down on the bot there.
Yeah.
I think Haley is in a very precarious position here. I would say she's probably apt to be lit on fire. Next turn.
I'm looking for where she is. Is she in the trench? Okay.
Yeah, so she's going to be in the trench, like right in the middle of the table there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that was some of the scary nature of all the incendiary.
I do see a feat token next to her as well. So
That's true. That's true.
Might be a couple. He'd have to get some lucky drifts.
Yeah.
And they would have to actually drift into the trench due to the way that trenches work.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit more difficult than normal.
Yeah.
Just a normal drift, but it's still something that
It's something that can happen, and it is
You
certainly a problem for
you
her.
might go for, given that you're not going to be doing a lot else on your turn. It kind of sucks giving up that movement.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I mean, having to sacrifice moving forward against Haley is never a good thing. But I mean, if you can light her on fire, that's a way to get very into the game.
So it sounds like Gorman blinded Xerxes as well as several of the models around him. Of course, Xerxes can shake, which he just did, so he's no longer blinded, but the other models will be.
All right, so we're going to pop back over to the Cricks matchup now, see if there's how that game's been turning out.
Okay, so appears that the Soul Hunters have activated, pushed into the Bane Knights, cleared them predominantly out of the zone. But those guys back behind the forest are going to be receiving vengeance moves.
I wonder if he. It looks like he light cavalry moved forward.
Yes, it does, with the
Which I think
possible
is-
exception of the guy in the back.
That's very curious. I'm not sure.
Would have potentially just light cav back. Maybe
Yeah.
only left one of them in range of the Bane Knights.
I guess with that forest in the position that it is, it might be actually difficult for the Bane Knights to draw line of sight to all.
Well, they're going to get
all
a
four,
vengeance
but
move
they are.
first.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like even with the vengeance move, due to the length of the forest,
Oh, sure.
down.
Sure.
he might be blocking. So he's going to have to probably move that
Bane Knight on the far left, up near the forest, straight down to charge the far left Soul Hunter, and then it might be difficult to get the
To
one
get
in
all
the middle.
three,
And,
yeah,
But I mean,
yeah.
if he can make a play to get all four, then that's going to play perfectly into what he wanted those
Right.
Bane Knights to accomplish.
Exactly.
So he moved the
Exactly.
Bane Knights forward to kill an Arc Node, and then kind of bait the Soul Hunters to come
Right.
in and die. So that's probably where the curse is going next turn, is my assumption.
That'd be my guess as well.
Also, with the Sixius back there, he can, he can possibly pop out and excarnate to kill one, and
Yeah.
then maybe teleport back behind the forest
Yeah,
for safety.
very true. It appears that very little else is activated so far this turn. And I can't quite tell what it is that he's agonizing over at the moment. Maybe the Witch Coven's activation themselves.
We're going to do a quick update on Table 3. It looks like we're going to be switching into a scenario where Kruger 2 has feeded.
Kruger 2, the, I guess, not electric Boogaloo. So Kruger has feeded and pushed Tyrone out of the
Both-
scenario zones.
Both zones.
Both zones. So Kruger does have 2 control points at this point in time.
Yep.
Thyron has just begun his turn and is obviously attempting to get back in and contest.
Yep. So he actually moved. So you see the Dawn Guard up on top there actually moved back into the zone with a Vengeance move, but they were pushed out of the zone due to Kruger's feat. So, I mean, surprise, surprise, Kruger making a scenario play.
Right.
It's going to be pretty tough, I would say, for him to... that bottom zone is going to be especially tough.
Yeah, that bottom zone does not look like it's got a lot that can get in there.
Yeah,
Not
and
really.
then the things that can get in there, like that heavy, are going to be an imminent danger to Croak Raiders and Sacral Vault. I mean,
Right,
they
yeah.
love heavies.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
So, yeah, we're going to head back to the Cricks matchup, but we just kind of wanted to drop a quick development in this game.
Looks
like
strong for
there's a-
the circle
Yep,
player.
there's a strong scenario play for the Circle player.
Yeah.
We might be switching back to that game in a round or two to see how that turned out.
Yeah. All right. So it looks like Scarlock's activating.
Ooh, so the Scarlock's activating to cast. I'm not sure what he's trying to cast actually.
So I'm trying to think what Witch Coven has that he'd want to put on his.
Occultation.
Yeah, potentially. Although I don't know why at this point.
But regardless, whatever he was trying to cast, it was out.
it was short.
There was room in between there, so.
Ghost Walk would be my guess.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had Ghost Walk.
Yep, Ghost Walk.
Yeah, that's definitely what he was trying to cast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to allow him to avoid free strikes and kind of
Yep.
unpack there.
Yep. So that's going to be a slight, well, maybe more than slight disappointment there.
It looks like he's gone ahead and put it on with the witches themselves.
Right. But less focused to do what else he was going to.
No, for sure.
So now maybe, I mean, that forest is going to be provide a little bit of protection to those Banes on the bottom there. But he might be able to walk the Styxis through, kill the back line a little bit, or at least engage the back line and do some damage there, and then try and clear the front line off with the Bane Riders that he hung back.
Yeah.
If they can get in there with a curse, they have very, very respectable threat range, even with not moving
Right.
the first turn. But we'll have to see.
They're ghostly naturally, like Bane Knights
They are,
Yeah.
correct.
So that forest is not an impediment to them.
putting puppet strings on the Texas Raiders.
Indeed.
He could be, I mean, the puppet strings might just be an insurance measure there, but it also could be, this is something that I'm not sure a lot of people know, but it also could be command check insurance. You can use
That's
it
a good point.
You can use it on command checks, I do believe.
That is a good point.
I might be wrong about that, but I think I'm.
My guess was that he put puppet strings up so that he has the best possibility of killing the UA as
Right.
Yeah. I'm guessing that's what he's planning on using the puppet strings for. So it looks like he's trying to determine charge angles.
So looking forward past this turn, assuming that a decent number of the left side Cricks models get cleared out of this bottom zone, I don't realistically see him scoring a point in the zone, clearing all of those models out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't.
I mean,
It would require a lot of very good rolls. in
and
order-
also good positioning, and yeah, he might not have even the volume of attacks that he needs.
Right.
But so that said, the bottom zone seems a lock for Australia to not for the Australian player Aaron to not give up points
Right,
now, at least
sure.
for the foreseeable
yes,
future. I would say.
agreed with that. Yeah.
Maybe once the Bane Riders come in, they might start throwing things. But I'm not sure. But at least for right now, I think that he can reliably focus on the other zone,
Yes.
which it looks like it's only going to be able to get those 4 or 5 models. So 4 Soul Hunters and Dara Wraith, and that top zone. I think we could definitely see a scenario play
Out of
for
this
Aaron
fixes,
here.
Yeah.
And then we just have a report that Tom Guan is actually watching these games right now, so his game's already done.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good job. Good job, buddy.
Classic Tom.
Classic Tom. Yeah, I do think I agree with your assessment on scenario play here over the course of the next turn or two. I do think that the Irish player has the advantage on the bottom zone and should be able to clear it out over the course of a couple turns. So it's imperative, I think, if he's going to make a scenario play, that he make that scenario play now, get scoring now.
Correct. Yeah, and then he can possibly use his feet and a little bit of Excarnate action
Yeah.
late game.
To kind of tip it back.
Yep, and then what he's always going to have to watch out for is, of course, that arc node. But you notice that he moved the arc node forward,
Yes.
which might have been a mistake.
Might have been a mistake, yeah.
I think that you're going to want to keep that arc node back as protected as possible because
Yeah.
that's going to be your key to a late game counter.
Right.
Of Asphyxious
Yeah,
coming
absolutely,
forward.
absolutely. Yeah, both. It's actually interesting because I would have felt like coming into this game, Asphyxious didn't need to worry too much about getting assassinated. Like he needs to be aware that Stygian Abyss
Right.
assassination
But having
is
half
there.
of his health taken off.
But yeah. So, but prior to that, it was the Witch Coven had to be very afraid, and Asphyxious had to kind of play normal.
Right.
But now it's turned into a situation where both of them need to be very cognizant of the ability for the other player to just close out the game immediately if they make a
Correct.
mistake.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So my guess is that Aaron is going to focus next turn primarily on clearing the top zone out, and then and also trying to get that arc node.
Yeah.
Because if he can get that arc node, then the scenario play is going to be very alive for him. He's going to have the Asphyxious in a dominant position in that top zone.
yes, agreed.
Pushing just himself pushing the coven away for fear of dying.
Right.
And then being able to handily take care of anything that gets sent up there. And then he might even focus the rest of his army more towards that bottom zone, just in general, to try
Yeah.
and It's such a lose-lose position for the Satixis right here, because even if they do well and clear out all those models, there's Bile Thralls.
There's Bile Thralls right behind.
right there. Just right there.
Yeah.
It's so tough. It's tough for Cricks lead a tough life.
They
Josh.
do. It's
a
such
tough unlife.
Yeah. Hashtag Cricks problems.
Cricks problems. Cricks world problems.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going to switch over to table 1 now to get an update on
The Kalissa force wall and shadows of or machinations of shadow matchup here.
So it looks like Kalissa's pushed a couple of beasts out of the zone up top, and now he's taking some beast casualties from the heavies. It seems like a really good
This
spot
table
for
Kalissa,
But I mean, note too, the bottom zone is
yes, full of. I'm trying to tell. I mean, it's obviously pot shepherds, and then I can't remember what else was in the list. I can double check it real quick.
yeah. Please do.
Let's see.
I can't hear you at all. You're very quiet.
Hex hunters. Those are hex hunters down there, I think.
Yep, and then a couple of maybe Arcanists or
Yeah, maybe those. Yeah, some Arcanists down there for the Retribution player, and some Hex Hunters, and then Pot Shepherds, or I don't know if they're called Shepherds, the guys that follow the pot around. The lunch ladies.
the lunch ladies.
Yeah. So that's down there. It looks like there's a light of some kind hanging out just on the edge of that zone as well. I'll see if I can figure out what the light is.
We had a report that the combo smite from that Chimera apparently did 17 damage.
Well, there isn't a Chimera. There's Manticore as a Phoenix.
Yeah, the Manticore.
Okay,
Sorry,
Manticore,
the Manticore.
okay, okay.
My apologies.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So Vale's lost 2 beasts at this point.
Which is a pretty big deal.
No, not an angel, but a Ravagore and.
This is the other lists. She's lost a Ravagore and Angelius. Is that correct, or does she still have 3 Angelius?
She still has 3.
Okay, so she had 3 Angelius, 2 Ravagore. So yeah, both Ravagores have been killed.
I see a Ravagore
so
on the table.
she's only lost 1 heavy at the moment. Right, there's 3 Angelius on that table, and there's a Ravagore. So she's lost 1 heavy. She's lost 1 Ravagore so far. Okay, we're gonna check in with the P Denny matchup. I believe that was P Denny versus Butcher 3.
Vlad 2.
Vlad 2. Sorry,
Yeah,
yes,
Vlad
Vlad
2.
2. Yeah. So Denny has feeded. And it appears that bottom zone is completely clear, and maybe the top zone as well. She is up in the top zone. I think she is dominating the top zone at the moment.
The top zone is definitely completely clear. I think that they're Behemoth and Colden Lord are probably towed in on the bottom zone. It looks like.
Okay. It was hard to tell whether they were towed in or on the outside of the zone. But yeah,
my guess is they're towed in.
That would be my guess too.
It's going to be hard for him to come back from this. Where's Denegra? I don't see her.
I believe she's there on the hill.
Yeah, yep.
On that top zone on the hill. Just towed into the zone.
Yeah. It's tough because if she catches the Outriders, which is, I think, the Cleator's player primary method for
killing her?
Not for killing her necessarily, but for at least like getting back into the game attrition-wise.
Yeah.
They can't make any attacks on her feet turn.
So at
Right.
least 2 of them, I think, are caught for sure. That third one probably as well.
Yeah, it looks like he probably has all 3 remaining Outriders in his control. Yeah, no attacks. That's sad face.
And then even with the feet gone, Vlad still is in danger of dying at any time. The feet, you obviously lose the -5 armor swing, but you're only getting the -3. But
Right, but still,
the primary method for killing Vlad is just knocking him down. So I mean, just
which
getting,
obviously Denegra can do it.
getting
anytime.
past his
Yeah.
with Scourge. Yep. So just getting past his ability to buff his defense up as he takes damage.
And she's gone ahead. Denegra's gone ahead and removed 2 of those Outriders anyway, leaving him with just a single Outrider left. So
It's tough. It's a rough spot.
yeah,
You can't even. I mean, maybe if only one of those. Maybe if only one of those Ulans is caught in the feet, and those other 2, sort of behind the behemoth, up near the top, aren't. He could potentially clear out a lane and kill his own Ulan, and then pop his feet and get 2 Ulan charges on Denegra.
Yeah.
Because they go a very long way.
a very long way. Yeah,
11 speed 11
Yeah.
charge, 14, 16-inch threat.
yes, I believe
Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah,
And then it's going to be, Mat 11 POW,
Yeah.
like 18 or
18 or
19,
19, I
yeah.
think. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
probably with Hand of Fate as well.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
I don't know. It's curious. That's a very precarious sort of position, I guess. It depends on whether or not how many of the Ulans are caught. And then there's Boom Howlers obviously in the way, and they're not trivial to remove either.
Right.
He can't and also the rest of his army has taken enough casualties at this point that he doesn't have.
He does not have a lot of model activations
Right.
left on the table.
Right.
And
So Behemoth can do maybe a couple,
Yeah.
can maybe clear out a couple of spots. But
right. I do think that something like that is his best play at this point in time.
Yeah, that would-
It certainly does not appear he can get back in this game from a scenario or attrition standpoint.
Right. It'd be interesting to see if that frontmost Ulan to Denegra, if the closest Ulan to Denegra is caught in her feet, he's going to have to do something to kill it. Because, well, I guess it can just walk out of the way. Because her feet's not model unit.
It's not. It's
Yeah,
model.
so they could just walk out of the way.
Yeah.
They could just walk out of the way. Excuse me. So once it receives the charge order, her feet stops models from charging or running. But if you are unable to charge or run and you are given an order to do so, you're still allowed to make a full advance.
Right.
So-
So he'll still be able to move 7 inches. Or
5 inches,
5
unless he gets feet
right.
on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 6 inches. Right, 6 inches.
6 inches. Because they're base 8, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So I'm just curious at this point to see what action the Kadar player takes, and whether or not he's going to see that.
Yeah, whether or not he sees
Potential-
that he's got to go for an assassination on the potential. I mean, I feel like if you play Vlad 2, you're always
You're looking for it?
You're
Yeah,
always looking
you're
for
looking
that.
for it.
Yeah, like what two or three souped up models can I send into my opponent's caster seems to be the one of the primary motivations to take Vlad 2. But
The tough thing is that he's gonna have to choose models that are just outside of her control radius,
right.
And try and
Yeah.
rocket them in.
right.
Which it's tough to tell because the distances. It's obviously hard to eyeball. It's hard to eyeball a distance in general.
Right.
But when you're looking at a game through a camera, it's even more difficult. But I think that
Well,
those ranges.
he knows like which models are affected by the feat and which are
He
not.
does,
So
yes.
he has a rough idea where the edge of that is, and that should be able to help him gauge that distance. I do wonder how many of those Ulans, because I feel like she's got to have at least the one that's closest to her. Question is, does she have the guy behind him?
Yeah,
That looks
if she's
looks
only got
long,
the one,
but yeah,
yeah, it's tough to tell.
yeah,
I would assume that she would try and catch Vlad on her feet too, but I think I mean, that looks like a long
a long 14.
14. I don't know. It's tough. It's like I said, it's tough to tell
tough. It's tough
from the camera. If I had eyeballs on the game, I might be able to give you a more
right.
accurate guesstimation.
It's like he's just trying to jam up these back Ulans and
Yeah, charging
And the behemoth.
moving forward with his Mechanothrall, clouding
Yeah.
the zone.
yeah,
Just doing as much as possible to contest the bottom zone because the Denegra is very clearly making a scenario play for the
Right,
top here.
right.
So
yeah,
he's going to do as much as possible to just fill that zone up, make it difficult to remove the models there,
yeah.
and
And
then,
then just
try to
kind of
consolidate at the top.
Set it and forget it down here on below.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah,
That's right. And then it's going to be difficult to push into the top zone anyway, but even more so with Denegra's feet affecting all of the
Right.
models on that side of the table.
right. Absolutely. I'm not actually even sure what he's got up there. He's got a Widowmaker and an Outrider. I guess 2 Widowmakers maybe, and
Yeah.
an Outrider up there,
Yep.
and that's roughly it. I can't quite tell what the model is behind the Outrider,
Yeah.
but yeah, it doesn't look good. Does not look good. Okay.
We might check into this game later and see what happened. I'm sure if an assassination run is being made, we'll check back in. I think.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
we're gonna head back to our feature table of Cricks versus Cricks.
Cricks versus Cricks with Whaley. Okay. So the Witch Coven has a control point here. So they actually did manage to clear out the bottom of this zone.
That's super surprising.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen. It appears Whaley is feeding. Oh no,
No,
he's
this
just
is a Fixius, or this is
he's
a,
just
this
made
is
some
Banelord.
with
Yep.
Tartarus. Yep.
So
Just
Tartarus came in. Looks like he got a three pack Thresher,
on the Satixus Raiders,
which is pretty good.
Yeah, I would
pretty
agree. I'd agree. So this will help him fight back. 1 control point, not
A
a
4-pack
huge deal at
Thresher.
this point. My
That's a very big deal.
Tartarus got some.
Wow. Poor Satixus.
yeah.
Which is something that I never thought
No,
I would say.
yeah,
I immediately regret. I immediately regret. So I mean, this is the problem with trying to attrition versus Cricks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Stupid Cricks trying to attrition versus Cricks. So yeah. So Coven's up 1 point. Apparently got it on this bottom zone. Upper zone, I'm trying to see what is in there. Looks like Whaley went ahead and cleared those Soul Hunters out with his Bane Knights.
3 of the Soul Hunters.
Oh yeah, that is a Soul Hunter sitting there on the wreck marker still, right?
Yep.
And then Dara Wraith is still in the back of that zone. But it looks like Whaley should be able to, over the course of the next turn or two.
It's just this is the problem with cavalry models is they represent so many points in such a compact.
Right,
And
absolutely.
then when you're playing against something like a Bane Thrall, which especially a Bane Thrall that just got made for free,
Right,
that can now almost trivially
kill one of your 2-point models.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, the point representation in that bottom zone for the right side Cricks player is respectable.
Yeah.
But given that it's consolidated it down into such a few number of models that can be killed trivially by anything on the other side.
And conversely, can only do so much work because they're attack limited.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's also something to note. Check out the position of the Helldiver token.
Right down there near the
That
exit
is like within spitting distance of the
yeah.
Witch Coven.
Yeah. The Witch Coven is going to have to maybe get out of dodge.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where the third girl is. I think she's up there above the Scarlock Commander, maybe, like kind of in that dirt area.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
She could. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
So
It's tough to tell.
Yeah.
It could also be this 3-pack down here.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So the third witch could be behind or in front of the wall, rather.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the players involved in this particular game, just once again, the Aussie team, Asphyxious 2 player is Aaron Whaley, and the Irish team Craic is
Philip Johnston.
Philip Johnston, correct, Philip Johnston. So Whaley just trying to get some damage in here with those free
Banes.
Banes.
Moving
Take
forward,
this
attacking.
zone back.
Yep. Moving forward, attacking the curse unit,
Yeah.
like you do.
As you do.
He wasn't able to push into the Bane Riders with them this turn, but it's one of those things where, so the Bane Riders activate and maybe kill a couple of Bane Thralls, and impact attacking against tough models is not something you want to do. But then there's going to be Mechanical Thralls to back up, and they're going to be just as good. I mean, it's it's a dealer's choice on how to kill those.
Also of note, you can see the card on the bottom of the screen. They've been attacking that last Arc Node, and it has about 2 to 3 boxes left.
And its Arc Node is certainly gone.
Its Arc Node, I believe, is gone. Although it's column 4-5 for the Arc Node.
Correct.
So it is possible.
That's down to the last, it looks like.
Okay.
That's probably just movement.
Probably just its movement left. Given that, now Asphyxious can probably come forward
Or
a
is it
little more.
Cortex on the right side?
It's 4-5 is movement and Arc Node, I believe.
All right.
But at any rate, the Arc Node is severely disabled. Should allow Asphyxious to maybe come up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so surprised he just had the Arc. He didn't have the Arc Node sort of positioned up on the back of
up that way. To
Like
just like,
behind
hey,
the-
don't come on the other side of this forest, or
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even staying back there behind the. I mean, it's an 18-inch running. Arc
Oh yeah,
node,
that's a
you
good
know,
point.
like,
That's actually a good point. Be more aggressive with it too.
Yeah.
Like just
force him to
try and finish
change,
off that
Yeah, just force him to change position and run it. Like just have
on
him
a
run
regular
it.
basis,
Yeah.
just back and forth. No, that's a good point. All right, so it looks like they're gonna try and charge Dara here.
Yep. Bane Knights.
Yeah.
So he killed those 3 Soul Hunters with Bane Knight Vengeances. Is that correct?
Apparently,
That's
that happened.
That's how you do it, Whaley.
Yeah.
8s to hit, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's possible. This may have been a Whaley turn and then a Johnston turn and then back to a Whaley turn.
It's possible. I don't know. Finished off the last Soul Hunter, by the way. We might have missed that.
Yeah,
but-
he just did. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So only Dara to contest this top zone now. And I don't know that he's going to be able to remove him this turn. But it definitely feels that that Aaron has swung the balance of this game back in the favor of the Aussies.
Yep. And then there's just that ever-present.
Feet.
No, I was talking about the Hell
Oh,
Diver.
the Helldiver for sure.
The Jaws music plays whenever I look at that token.
Yeah. Although Asphyxious is going to have to come forward for that Helldiver to receive any focus.
Yeah, that's true. You could maybe have a Warwitch Siren or something run forward and be within range.
that's fair.
They have like
Yeah.
a 12-inch allocation range.
Allocation range. Yeah. Appears Asphyxious is activating here. This will be interesting to see what he does. It's moving cautiously.
I mean, with the Arc Node gone, I don't think he's really in any danger of staying that far. You know, he doesn't have to stay that far back anymore.
Right.
And
Stygian Abyss
if the witches are those 3 packs that we said on the bottom,
Yeah.
I mean, they have a very... Oh, that's still very far forward, though.
Yeah, that is pretty aggressive.
I mean, if he's camping, if he's got a healthy camp, which he does, he's camping like
yeah,
6
at the
or
moment
7.
he's sitting on a full camp.
That's gonna be enough, I would assume. Full camp putting Asphyxious at armor 23 versus POW 12 Stygian Abyss. He's gonna need
got the wreck marker, so he's
right, and he's gonna need 9s or 10s to hit. You know, that's gonna be a pretty tall order to kill. But
I might still try and go for it.
I mean,
if
if he
I was the Witch
feels
Coven player.
if
yeah.
he feels that far behind, you know,
yeah,
it depends. I mean, these Bane Riders could actually still do a serious amount of work down in the bottom.
they can.
Like I said, I don't see them killing enough. And then given that pretty much any one surviving model can kill them back 1-to-1 pretty easily.
Yeah. Are we guessing that's Hellbound there on Asphyxious?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
So that'd put him at 22, but then can't charge him. And
Right. Yeah. Because otherwise, one of those Bane Riders could probably peel off.
oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially with a curse.
Yeah.
Even that closest one might not even need it.
Right.
The curse. I don't think we have audio on the right table right now. They're talking about Haley and Xerxes. So we see the Ireland player. He's definitely thinking through a tough turn right now.
Johnson, yeah.
Philip
Johnston.
Johnston.
Yeah, Philip Johnston thinking through his turn here. Trying to unpack that zone, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, my I don't think there's anything that can be done about that top zone.
Not at this point. I mean, we kind of
And then also the Helldiver with Asphyxious, you know, certainly close enough now.
now to grant it its focus
Yeah.
load. Yeah. No, there's.
I feel like there's a limited amount of time left.
I believe if I were Philip here, I would be looking at it. It may be a poor assassination, but puppet strings yourself and see what happens.
Yeah. Does he even have the Wither Shadow?
I think so. Isn't that a Wither
Oh yeah,
Shadow
no, he
model
does.
like right
He
there?
does.
Yeah,
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
He puppet stringed his Tixus earlier.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
So while we're waiting for decisions to be made here, we're going to do a few quick updates.
we're gonna bounce around to a couple tables just to check in and see what's going on. All right, so we're going to check back on the Mike Porter and Dylan Simmer table. Dylan Simmer with Kalissa, Mike Porter with Epic Veil. It looks like Veil has struck back and killed 2 of Kalissa's heavies. Those 2 wreck markers you see, one in the zone, one outside the zone.
Mm-hmm. And then also looks like he's cleared out. Oh no, there's a light warjack towing the bottom zone.
A light warjack in the bottom of the zone. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe it's hard to we can't tell whether or not that one was moved there after the turn began or whether she cleared out and got a point.
I do remember there being one, it being positioned closer to the house, but I think it may have been towed in the zone on the last time that we saw it. So.
Yeah, if we can we get an update on scenario points for that table?
Yep.
Thanks.
So it looks like he might have a Manticore left, basically, for heavies, and then be down to lights otherwise. Griffins and Aspices.
That's a pretty rough place to be against Vale. I wonder if she's
Yeah.
feated yet. Because as long as the feet's still there, too, she can push back with Assassination possibility.
Yeah.
Well, does Assyria have a Vortex? Oh, no,
It's not Assyria.
it's not Assyria.
Kalissa.
This is Kalissa.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, she does have something, too.
She has the one that whiplashes.
Backlash or
Yeah,
whatever?
I can't remember what it's
Whiplash,
called, but
yeah.
it creates whiplash if you miss the model with the spell.
So, I mean,
So the game situation is 2-0 on control points in favor of.
so sorry, I accidentally cut Josh off there. But it was 2-0 control points in favor of Kalissa. So
That's
Kalissa
correct.
has 2, Vale has 0.
Yeah. So the question is whether or not she can eke out 3 more.
Yep. And then as was pointed out by our support, Aspices have beat back.
They do.
So that's a way of potentially creating space.
Of moving some models out of the zone, yeah.
Also, doesn't Force Wall have Mage Hunters? Or, I'm sorry, not Mage Hunters, just Battle Mages.
Battle Mages? It very well may. Let me double check his list. He has 1 unit of Battle Mages. I'm trying to tell if that's what he's got right there
They're
in the
behind.
back.
Yep.
Yeah, that back row is probably Battle Mages.
There's definitely a Magister back there that I can see.
He has a Magister, an Artificer, a full unit of Battle Mages, and then just a ton of Arcanists. But I don't think those are Arcanists.
Hail Hydra.
I think those are Battle Mages back there. So, but yeah, it looks like the Phoenix is dead and one of the Manticores are dead, right? That looks like a Manticore that's sitting there.
Yeah. It's certainly not a Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it is a Phoenix. That's
It is
the
a Phoenix? It is a
Yeah,
Phoenix?
the sword
Okay.
was being covered by...
So the
yep.
2 Manticores are dead, but the Phoenix rises eternal.
Yeah, and then as was noted in the Twitch chat...
The forums?
Shut up. God, I hate you. As was noted in the Twitch chat, Kalissa has Purification, which you would think would help against Vale's spell Assassination, but Vale has Purification.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, if Vale can get close enough, I mean, generally Vale's spell
Kalissa
Assassination...
has Purification?
No, Vale has...
Yes.
Kalissa has... I'm sorry, Spell Ward.
Spell Ward, yeah.
Sorry, Banishing Word, rather.
Okay, yeah.
What did I say?
But yeah.
I said something wrong.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Kalissa has Banishing Ward.
Kalissa has-
Vale has Purification, so that doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It can matter because oftentimes Vale's spell assassination is done from a large distance.
Sure.
With her Oraculous.
Right.
Extending her threat range, but I don't think. I mean, given her 16-inch control radius, and then she's got I wouldn't say fairly aggressively positioned, but she's not far enough away that it's impossible for her to get up in there and
Right.
put that purification on Kalissa. So
Yeah. All right, so
All right.
we're gonna check back in with the David Potts Xerxes versus David Potts Xerxes versus Dan Porter Haley 2. Dan Porter with Ireland, David Potts with Australia. Haley 2 currently has 2 control points in this matchup. Both feats have been used.
yep, and she definitely got those control points by dominating the top zone. It looks like.
Yep.
Looks like the bottom zone was kind of collapsed in favor of Xerxes.
Which is actually surprising because we thought that those NIS were going to kind of play in the sprinkler there with that forest.
Yeah, well, there maybe some drifts happen.
Yeah.
Maybe some. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. It was probably some incendiary work. That
Yeah,
got done
I would
there,
imagine.
I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
absolutely.
But we're going to go ahead. Now that we've seen how this game's going down, we're going to quickly pop into Table 2. Just to get a quick update on the Denegra versus Kador game.
So again, this is Veil 2 versus Denegra 1.
Oh,
Hey,
look,
he
we-
did in
we
fact
called it.
go for the assassination.
There it goes.
Yeah.
It must have come up short,
Yeah.
I guess. Otherwise, the game would be over.
Hey, it looks like he's rolling right now. Actually, Denegra. Again, this is currently Denegra has 2 control points to 0 for Kador. So yeah, he's got Hand of Fate on that unit. I'm assuming that those models are feeded on because of the white tokens.
Yep.
And he's rolling on Denegra here. We may be seeing an assassination. Yeah. This
I
is
just like that we called it.
Yeah, we called it, and we may be seeing it right now. So pretty exciting.
All right.
All right, so he needs a 12. It sounds like 4 dice drop the lowest.
This is a damage roll.
This is a damage
to
roll,
kill
yeah.
his caster. And
That's it. That's it.
Yep.
Denegra's dead.
He rolled a 14.
That's victory for Vlad for
Australia.
Team Australia. Yeah. All right.
All right. So that's 1 Australia so far.
Yep. So that victory went to Sheldon Pace. Sheldon Pace for Australia. Just defeated, I believe, one of the Porter brothers. This was. Oh no, it wasn't one of the Porter brothers. This was Jason Jensen. So.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's move back over to the table 3, where it looks like Thyron has scored his 3rd control point.
This is the Kruger 2 matchup where we know that Kruger had scored 2 control points.
Yeah, this
I
is a
believe, prior to
very
this.
interesting outcome.
So it's 3-2 right now. So this is very interesting. We were not sure that Thyron was going to be able to get stuff back in the zone and that Kruger might run away with scenario. It appears the exact opposite has happened. It looks like this. Yeah, it looks like the Sacro Vault has been taken down.
Oh, certainly.
So yeah,
There's almost nothing left on the.
very little left for the
What
Kruger 2
happened in
player
this
here.
game? Why weren't we watching this one? Wow.
Yeah.
All the Croaks are dead.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what he's unpacking right now. What's he moving into the zone here? It's hard to see.
We missed some Australian magic, I think.
I think we did miss some Australian magic. All right, so the Kruger 2. He had 2 units of Croak Raiders, Shifting Stones, Stonekeeper, Swamp Gobbers. It must be Stonekeeper and maybe like a couple leftover Croak Raiders, potentially.
I don't see any Croak Raiders. Maybe I guess they're kind of interspersed down there.
Yeah, I think they're kind of interspersed. Yeah. But yeah, he's got very little left.
What the hell happened? What does Tyrone have? I forget. He's so new.
I know, right? So Thyron had a Banshee and a Griffin. Looks like the Banshee's down there in that bottom zone still.
Oh, I meant like his spell list.
Sure. We can take a look
We
and
were
see.
forgetting something there.
Uh-huh.
I don't think so. Storm Rager's certainly not going to
Not
cause
gonna
this
not
to
gonna
happen.
cause this to happen. A Storm Ranger is a great spell.
It is a good spell. So we're going to go quick to table 1, where it looks like Kaelissa has slammed a model into Vale, who is now knocked down.
All right. So again, this is Dylan. This is Dylan Simmer with Kalissa versus one of the Porter
Oh,
brothers.
I'm sorry. He's positioning. He's potentially positioning for a slam right now. It does look like Vale is camping a huge stack, though. So
Dylan Simmer versus Mike Porter. Dylan Simmer versus Mike Porter. Mike Porter with Team Ireland and Vale. All right. So.
Oh, someone mentioned in the chat for that prior game that was probably a Storm Rager Fane Knight. And that's true. That guy can kill like a million models.
Yeah, that's a good
true.
point. That's a good point.
Thanks, chat. Apparently, the slam is now dead in the water because a free strike crippled the Jack's movement.
Wah wah.
Exciting.
Indeed. Indeed. All right.
All right, given that the potential assassination has failed, we're going to
Yeah.
head back and quick to see if
How Thyron is doing here.
how Kruger can pull himself out of this
Indeed.
jam.
Indeed.
So looks like we got a Gorax going in on.
On Banshee.
Yep. First initial used to kill just a random mage hunter, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's fishing for spikes right now. Yeah, I would assume Kruger's got to look for some kind of assassination.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually locate
Which
Thyron
it's
right now. Is Thyron
really hard to kill
Is
that
Thyron
guy.
medium base to see the?
He's
yeah.
going to be at the back of the zone and sort
just,
of in the middle.
Just towed in
Yep.
to the back of that bottom zone.
Yeah, and he's tough to kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's
Let's,
like def
let's-
17 versus ranged and
Could
respectable armor.
can put Storm Rager on himself, which certainly helps as well.
which it does look like there's a token next to him, although it's hard to tell what it is. Oh, that's
so
a
yeah,
focus.
he's a 15-16 with 18 boxes.
Yeah, bro works out.
Blade Shield, Repost, and also has access to Storm Rager.
It looks like he's only camping one, though. And then Storm Rager is likely somewhere else.
Yeah, most likely.
But still,
Yeah.
Kruger can get you.
Oh yeah. 15, 17, 8 boxes or 18 boxes is it's not trivial to remove.
No, he's tough to kill.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see. I guess it's tough to tell from the camera, but it looks like that top zone is entirely 100% like nothing even close to it. You know, shifting stones could possibly run in there, or pour it in there, but
Well, is that not a circle model up there in the middle of the zone? What's whatever the heavy is a circle model, right?
oh, is that ghetto?
I believe I actually thought it was 2 circle models with like a couple ret solos towed around the outside. Oh well, no, that's a ret model apparently that's being moved right now.
That's ghetto Ricks.
But
or,
yeah, that's a circle heavy.
yeah, it's definitely a warp wolf. Sorry, I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a warp wolf stalker.
So Warpwolf Stalker, but yeah, once that Stalker is removed, I agree that at that point it's just free points to Retribution. I'm interested. I'm assuming that stone group is whole. Could still teleport Kruger wherever
Kruger, yeah.
he may need to go. But yeah, I think probably looking at at an assassination attempt from Kruger at some point here. Probably earlier rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be tough because he just, having just passed the turnover, Tyrone's going to have a full stack to work with again.
Yeah.
If he's, anticipating it, which I assume he's got to be at this point. Usually when you get into these positions in the game, you're kind of looking for, like, what are my opponent's outs? Like,
Right.
what is any possibility of him winning the game? You know,
Right.
assassination is always one of those questions that you ask first and foremost.
Right.
Kruger is, definitely like a caster that's known
For doing that.
for getting you in the back foot
Yeah.
like that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to consider that.
No, absolutely.
So we're going to pop over real quick back over to Haley 2 versus Scorn. See how they're doing.
Again, this is Dan Porter with Haley 2 and David Potts with Xerxes.
He looks just like he just got ground. He just got ground to dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Fist does, I
That
guess.
is exactly how Fist plays. Yeah. This was probably a poor matchup just in general for the Signar player.
Yeah.
I think
I've seen
Signar in
I've
general
seen
does not
Xerxes
like
dropped
yeah.
into Haley before the errata.
Yeah.
Definitely, like
Yeah.
as a good counter. So certainly after
after the errata. It has to be even better. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we just heard Dan is actually considering concession at this point, so I'm guessing he might try for some kind of Hail Mary.
Assassination of some
At this
kind.
point. And if it fails,
Yeah.
just, shake hands.
So apparently Anastasia's charging in here.
Get in here with that POW 8.
Oh, yeah. So Anastasia managed 5 points on an RQRA.
Better
Nice.
than average.
That's
Pretty
better
good.
than average,
Pretty
yeah.
good.
That's a excellent stat in the back.
Probably not enough at this point to, but it's
Yeah. It's not nothing.
So, Rob, Rob Shepard asked in the chat what the score is right now. We still have 4 ongoing games, and 1 game was decided in favor of Australia.
Australia, correct. So currently 1-0 Australia. But this
We
looks
have several other games that are looking very favorable for Australia.
For Australia, yeah.
So
The overall impression is that Australia will probably win this matchup.
hey, he got all those.
He got all those RQRA, yeah. Okay, so just so you guys know, the score that's on the bottom of the screen is the overall team score. Control points 2-0 in favor of Haley here, but that doesn't seem to be something that's going to matter in the long run.
No. Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, maybe if Haley was closer to the bottom,
Right.
she could potentially clear the zone out and dominate up to 4, but then he's going to be able to run so many models in that.
Yeah.
And that's also giving up a point too on your own turn.
Right, yeah.
So. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I don't see an assassination even happening here.
Yeah, I'm trying. I guess Xerxes is in that trench in the back, I think.
Right, and there's no way to.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Stormclad is going to be his best bet, but
Right.
it's just too.
Yeah,
It's too mired down. And
yeah. And all those medium bases are,
Yeah.
it can't even trample to it. Just trying to do some damage, but I think in the end,
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably move over to another table then.
yeah.
So we're going to move over to table 1. And we'll probably update you in a little bit with how
With
that.
the conclusion of that game. So this is back to the Kalissa matchup. This is Dylan Simmer with Kalissa, and Mike Porter with Veil 2
Score is still 2-0 here.
in favor of Kalissa, but the table itself appears to be a bit more in favor of Veil.
Yeah, I would agree. It depends. I guess it's a bit closer than I thought it would be at the beginning of the game, actually.
Yeah.
And then someone did mention in the chat earlier, too, while Kalissa has to be afraid of Veil's assassination, Veil also has to have a good amount of respect for Kalissa's gun,
Yeah,
given that Kalissa can ignore stealth herself.
right.
And
So
then,
occultation is irrelevant. Yeah,
and then your camp is, you have to camp double.
right.
Versus her.
Yeah. So it looks like
He's certainly going to score another control point.
Mike has cleared the bottom zone here, so he's gonna rack a control point up, not just first one.
Well, it would be 2-3 at that point.
Oh, I thought it was 2-0. It's 2-0 Kalissa right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
incorrect.
Yeah. So it'll be at least 2-1 at the end of this turn.
Yeah, and he's just. I think his play at this point. I don't see him getting super feisty with even going for the assassination. I think just going with straight up attrition play at this point in time.
As the Veil player.
Yes, as the Veil player.
Yeah.
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 Given that you have a dominant position on the bottom board,
Yeah, I expect to see Veil come back towards this bottom zone in
Yep.
order to score 2.
Maybe
on the
even run.
subsequent turns. Maybe
Yeah.
run this turn. And just kind of leave her beasts to jam the jacks.
well, he can still
The
have the
Jack Wall
beast
out.
activate and do a full amount of work. He's got 2 shepherds up there.
Oh, absolutely.
So he can still have the beast activate, do a full turn worth of Fury work,
Yeah.
pull the Fury back off, have Veil run with a full camp down to the bot
Yeah.
zone or near the bot zone even. I think it's going to be a tough climb for Kilissa at this point. We have an update. Thyron has just won on Scenario, so we're going to switch over to that table really
Yeah.
quickly.
All right, so Jeff Galea with Thyron.
So it looks like, and I mean, remember as we last checked into this table, there were very few models for Kruger. Thyron was up to 3 control points, so whatever Kruger put into the zone, he just had to kill
Right, exactly.
and then dominate to get his
Yep.
4th and 5th control
Yeah,
points.
so that is what happened. Appears that Kruger never actually had an opportunity to go for that assassination.
I'm so curious about how this unfolded after the Kruger feat turn because it seemed like it was going to be such a
It
good.
seems strong for Kruger. So
Oh, and we were just told that all of these games are being recorded separately, so that actually, if you are curious as well and you're watching the live stream, you can go back and check it and see for
and
yourself.
watch the whole game. So yeah, Jeff Galea with Thyron has defeated Kruger 2. So it is now 2-0 in favor of the Australian team.
Yep. And now we'll go back to our original game, Witch Coven versus Gatsby 2, see how things have shaken out there.
All right.
So the bottom zone got cleared out.
The bottom
quite a bit
zone
from the
got
last
cleared
time
out,
we-
and Egregore and the Witch Coven made a hasty retreat back to that zone.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a scenario update? Okay.
Yep, we're getting a scenario update. Yeah. Also note where the token for the Helldiver
Yeah.
is. Right. It's just
The Helldiver is just, it keeps coming. It keeps
Da-da.
coming. It's the Terminator.
da-da-da-da-da-da.
It absolutely will not stop until you are dead.
Yeah. It seems like at this point he's just like, screw it. Like, I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do at this
Yeah.
point? You can't get
Yeah.
away from it. It's
Yeah.
probably just posturing on Aaron's part. Like, I'm never actually going to unsurface this. I just want to make you nervous.
All right. So Witch Coven still has one control point to 0 for Whaley and Asphyxius 2.
I'm pretty impressed with how he cleared that zone out. That might be
bottom
a fun
zone.
one to watch, too. It
Yeah.
seems like there was probably some good... something I forgot about Bane Riders with the Witch Coven until just this moment. Witch Coven have Curse of Shadows, which is really, really good with Bane Riders doing impact attacks.
for impact
Yeah.
attacks purposes.
So they can go in, they can impact attack, kill as many models as they want, but they don't have to...
If they don't kill it, they're not stopped.
Right,
Yeah.
correct. So that they
Yeah.
can continue to move forward.
Yeah.
So it gives them a little bit more flexibility,
Absolutely.
a little bit more
Yeah.
stopping power.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah, they're pretty good with Curse of Shadows. That's
yeah, very
yeah.
good, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if that happened or not, I assume.
All right, Kaelissa is under assault, so we are going to take a look here. A Harrier has come in, invoked its Animus, and rolling some damage
Yep, on Kaelissa.
on Kaelissa. So it looks like...
So it looks like she took a few damage but didn't die.
Yeah.
Now Kaelissa is... Or maybe it's possible, too. Was it possible that the Harrier sprinted in to engage Kaelissa? Or...
Okay.
Okay, so no, it just activated, walked over, and hit
Hit
him.
him.
Boosted damage.
Yeah, so now it's the Kaelissa player's turn, or it appears since she's moving. She's taking a free strike. It actually looks... Where is Vale? Is Kaelissa going for an assassination on Vale right now?
Yeah, Vale's near the top zone. So we thought she was going to run towards
Yeah,
the bottom.
she actually went towards the top, which is surprising.
It is surprising. There's
Um,
higher consolidation of Retribution forces up there.
Right, yeah. She feels like there's a better assassination attempt versus her. It does in fact look like Kalissa is attempting to assassinate Vale right now.
She's not camping enough either. She's only camping
Vale.
4, it looks like.
Yeah. Yep.
I know you see there was a Legion feat token. There is a Legion feat token, so he must have hopped his feet for.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. We thought that Vale was going to go to the bottom, play a more conservative game. She went to the top, and now the Kalissa player has the chance to potentially kill her here.
Yeah. He might be getting punished for his.
For a more aggressive play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So rolling against a Tenacity Veil right now. He went ahead and got a hit.
Yep. Needs 9s to hit, I believe. So that's a good chunk of damage.
5 damage on the first one. After armor.
Yep. And I believe when you're playing against Kalissa's gun, isn't it right to use your transfers as quickly as you can?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you see him getting rid of his focus as he
Yeah,
gets hit, or
yeah.
his fury as he gets
Yep,
hit.
exactly. So
7 more
damage. Yep.
Which he is going to transfer.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
he's going to look like he's going to have the next shot he just has to take to the face.
To the face, yep.
Oh, that is a big roll.
That is rough. That is rough.
That was the big one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think it was likely to kill her.
No, but
Just getting rid of that fury, I mean, that's going to be
get
a
rid
big
of the
swing.
fury and putting damage on her
And getting her down
yeah,
very low.
Yeah.
Potentially killing her, but unlikely, but getting her very low.
Yeah.
So how is he going to follow up with this now?
It's a very good question. He had to have something as like a light backup in mind here, but all right. So it looks like
So maybe not getting as punished as badly for his aggressive
indeed,
play.
indeed.
But those triple ones, that's hurts me deep to my soul.
Yeah. I was all excited. All right. So the Kalissa list, I'm trying to figure out what else he's. I don't know if those are battle mages or if it's an artificer or a magister over there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I see an artificer for sure.
Definitely an arcanist. It looks like there's just an arcanist hanging out. A couple arcanists, maybe.
I don't know if he has any follow-up to this. He might have just been going in with Kalissa.
Just to go in. Yeah. He definitely isn't the Kalissa player was in a bad position. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Which
And
is
I
why
assume
it's surprising that the Veil player gave him this as
Exactly,
yeah.
which is why I assume
Uh.
he probably went for it in general. He probably
Right.
was thinking the same, like, man, if
Yeah.
he goes to the bottom, I have no outs. You know,
Right.
he went to the top, so I
Right.
have to take this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to pop back over to Cricks versus Cricks because it looks like we have a Gaspy 2 feat in progress.
All right.
So it looks like he walked forward, dropped the kids off at the pool, as you want to say, like up in that middle.
Yep, indeed.
And then teleported back behind some clouds.
Yep. So now
And this is what we said, his feat's going to do such good work against those cavalry
absolutely.
models. So
Absolutely.
just clear off the rest of the table, just have a free, easy ride to scenario.
Yep.
And then with the Witch Coven not having that arc node to be able to run into, this is why it was so paramount for them to
To hold that arc node back
Right.
so that they could keep Gaspy back.
right, because then this might not have happened, or if
Right.
it did, they would have a serious shot.
Shot at killing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it looks like Witch Coven is going to be thoroughly cleaned up here.
Yeah.
All the
And
Bane Riders.
It appears
maybe one Bane Rider below the camera.
up to this point, I believe that the scenario was 1-0 in favor of Witch Coven, but it appears that at the end of this turn, it'll be 2-1 in favor of Asphyxius.
Yep.
And it does not
With
look like
very
the
little
Witch Coven
retaliation.
has very little ability to get anything into that zone.
Right.
All right, so back on the table here with the Legion and Kalissa player. The Kalissa player clocked themselves here at the
Which
end.
that certainly influences whether you're going to go for
Whether
that
you're going to go for the
assassination.
assassination,
Exactly. Yep.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, he definitely made the right play there. He was
Yeah.
just looking for really, a little bit more hot dice. Like he definitely could have got it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. If he hits that last shot and spikes
the-
that damage
Yep.
roll,
And if the first damage roll that he took,
because he put 5 damage on him the first time.
Yeah. So if that
yeah.
if that was a roll was a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And then the second roll, was he definitely had a shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
those snake eyes just are.
Just triple
that's-
ones. Yeah.
But yep. So that's going to be
Another, let's see, that was in favor of Vale.
which is going to be Ireland. So now it's
that's
gonna be
Ireland. So
2
it's
to
2-1 in favor of Australia right now.
Yep.
All
and
right.
now we're back to Gaspian, which Kevin.
All right. Just to can we confirm that it's currently 2-1 in favor of Gaspy and control points?
So we're getting confirmation right now on the score, but we assume it's 2-1.
2-1 in favor of Gaspy. Yeah.
And I just don't see a play.
No, I don't really, because I don't see an assassination
gonna
here.
be-
I don't
yeah.
see any way for him to contest that zone. I think this is just going to end.
Likely going to be 4-1 after the Irishman's turn,
Yeah.
and then an easy just.
And then
end.
that's it. That's the game.
And
Okay.
we
here
did
are.
get confirmation that we were
Yeah.
correct. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm fairly confident in just calling this game.
Yeah, I believe this is a game for Australia, for Whaley, which will clinch the match in Australia's favor.
Correct. Taz, it looks like, or to answer your question, Ireland just won their Vale 2 versus Kalissa matchup.
Uh-huh. Was
you wanna
one
get
of
the
the one
player
of the
names?
Porter brothers. Yeah. So Dylan Simmer was the Kalissa player, and Mike Porter is the Irish player who just won with Vale 2.
Yeah, this the beginning of this game started off so exciting with the Stygian Abyss opener. I was really hoping for just to protect your Arc Node a little bit more
Yeah.
through the late game
Yeah.
because he's got to come in for the late game. Gatsby's got to come in for work in the
Right.
late game.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw the work that the Bane Knights were doing,
Yeah.
or the Bane Riders are doing. Save that Arc Node for when he does. When he comes back in, then hit him with that machine gun, Stygian Abyss.
Absolutely.
Just try and finish him off. Having that half damage on him early game, that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Big difference.
And we have one more update. It looks like Xerxes just won on scenario.
So this is against Dan Porter. Dan Porter, the Haley 2 player, has lost. David Potts, the Xerxes player, has won. So this is now 3-1 in favor of Australia.
Yep.
Australia has won the match.
Clinching it for Australia, yep. And this is basically what we were expecting, I guess, from the last time we saw this game.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
All right, so this is the only game remaining. And like we said, we suspect that this is going to result in a 4-1 overall victory for Australia.
Right. Yeah, I don't see
I don't see a way out of it for
any way. I would love to be wrong. Yep, and there we go. There's the handshake.
Yeah, the
So
handshake. Yep.
They surmised that there was no way to get over into the zone. He was going to score on the end of his turn, and then
again
and then freely end his turn whenever he wants.
Whenever he
score
wants
that-
and
that
score.
fifth point.
Score to get to the 5th control point.
So yep, that ends the match 4-1 in favor of Australia.
All right. Aaron Whaley.
And so that was Aaron Whale winning for Australia, winning the
Australia.
4th game for Australia.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So I think only Dylan Simmer has to apologize to his teammates. The rest of them managed to take it down. So that was the end of round 1. Pretty exciting round 1. We saw a few really interesting things. Saw Storm Knights with Halo 2, which we don't see in the U.S., so that was quite nice. Even though it didn't work out
Not
too
performing as well as we would hope.
as the
but
Europeans have claimed. But we got to see a little bit of Thyron, which is exciting.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Thyron managed to come back against the obviously very powerful Kruger 2 in scenario
with
play.
a very strong scenario hold. So I
Yeah.
would definitely check out that game on
absolutely.
your own afterwards
That's-
independently.
Yeah, that one is quite interesting.
Saw a very exciting, or we predicted an exciting Vlad 2 assassination
Which
against
did
Denegra
occur.
as well.
Yeah, it did occur. So that was interesting. And yeah.
Yep.
Overall,
So that's our round 1 of the day for WTC 2015.
We'll be back in a little bit with round 2. We're gonna. This is after this round. We're taking a break for lunch, so there's going to be a slight delay before the next round. But we'll be back. Make sure that you're checking updates on WMH-WTC.com, which is being live updated all day long with matchups as they are reported and everything. And it's got a full roster of lists for all of the teams, as well as what teams are being matched up live. So make sure you're checking that out. WMH-WTC.com. This has been Muse on Minis commentation. By Josh and Chad.
Yeah.
And we wanted to thank again Enter the Crucible for providing the stream equipment and the technical know-how.
Clint and Matthew are our support back here, and they're doing a great job. So yeah.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you in a little bit for round 2.
Yeah.